Hello, you're welcome to this week's edition of The Magnate. The Magnate, you know, is a program that will feature veterans in different professions in a bid for you to take tips from their wealth of knowledge. We traverse various professions from business, medicine, agric, name it. We have featured all of them here. But like we promised some times ago, we want to feature some of the episodes on the rave of the moment. So we have been looking at some topics relevant to medical practice, and today will not be an exception. Guess what? With that arm of medical practice, it's not very known to so many people, but virtually everybody needs to remain healthy in that aspect, if you know what I mean. Let's give you the background report of our magnate for the week. When we come back, it will be an interactive session with him. Join us shortly.
For more than 4 decades, Professor Mustapha Abudu Danesi, Professor of Medicine and Consultant Neurology Physician, Lagos, traversed the academic terrain practicing his childhood profession, medicine. His love for his career has taken him to the best universities across the globe, where he has acquired training first as a medical doctor at the prestigious University of Ibadan, University of Edinburgh, and later a specialist in neurology. His journey in this world of medicine was spurred by his desire for humanity. Professor Danesi's motivation, determination, and brilliance among his personal attributes accounted for his achievements up to this time and his subsequent endeavors. A distinguished and experienced man, today he is not only well established as one of the best neurologists in Nigeria, as he has added value to that field of medical practice, having raised and taught more doctors in that field. Professor Danesi is an author of several medical research work and a Commonwealth Fellow and Registrar of the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgeon between 1984 to 1985, though retired from the University College, Idiaraba, where he practiced for the better part of his life. This World Health Consultant has continued to chart the way forward in neurological practice to be well ingrained in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. Join us in the studio to share thoughts with our magnates for the week.
This is The Magnate. You're welcome back to this week's edition of the program. My pleasure to welcome to The Magnate, Professor M.A. Danesi. He's a consultant neurophysician, neurologist, well retired but definitely not tired, with the foremost tertiary hospital in Nigeria, Luth. My pleasure to welcome Professor Danesi to The Magnate. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
So we are focusing on neurological practice. It's not too many people know about it, even though you will tell me literally is examining the brain and things like that and related. Who is a neurologist and what is neurological practice for those who may want to delve into that field of practice?
A neurologist is someone who treats the disease of the brain. And the brain being complex, there has been so much confusion about this area. For example, you have a neurologist who treats the disease of the brain and the nerves. Then you have a neurosurgeon who is not a physician, but operates on any part of the brain when there is a growth or an abnormality that requires removal by surgery. So the two are usually confused. Then there is also the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist is a person who treats the disease of the mind. There is an interface. There is no much difference between the brain and the mind. So a lot of the practice of neurologists and that of the psychiatrists overlap. And it's quite often that patients who need to see a neurologist are referred to a psychiatrist. And patients who need to see a psychiatrist are referred to a neurologist. So because of this, in our training, I have had in my years of training in neurology, I also had to have a 6-month training in psychiatry so that a well-trained neurologist is very vast in psychiatry. A well-trained psychiatrist also has some knowledge of neurology. In Nigeria, the psychiatrists in training usually come to our department and have a posting in neurology for 3 months, whereby they get it themselves acquainted with neurology.
But sir, how aware are Nigerians, even globally, of this neurological practice?
Well, neurological practice is, Nigerians are not really aware of neurological practice. And paradoxically, even doctors are not aware of the potentials or what the neurologist can do. Quite a number of cases that need to see a neurologist usually go and see spiritualists or native doctor, because when they have it, they say, oh, there's nothing you can do. For example, if you are paralyzed, you can't walk, you're suddenly paralyzed, they will tell you there's one spiritualist who can make you walk. You know,
and it's a medical condition, paralysis.
Yes, a neurological condition. And doctors may not even be aware. In fact, residents who are posted to us in our department, when they come, they spend 3 months and so on. They will see a patient who is completely paralyzed, and maybe before they finish the posting, the patient is already walking. And they, for the first time they get to us, they used to have an impression that once you are paralyzed, that is it. That is the first time they see a patient who is paralyzed and is walking after neurological treatment.
Why do you think people are not aware? Is it that you are so few in Nigeria, or you are not creating the desired awareness? For instance, other disease men will say, for example, we hear HIV Day, Diabetic Day, days set aside. Don't you should have a day set aside for?
We do have all that.
Okay.
There's World Stroke Day for people with stroke. We have epilepsy, you know, and so on. So those are there. I think the first reason why the awareness was so thin was the lack of expertise.
Okay.
Until recently, I start with a story. When I came back from UK after training at the University of London Institute of Neurology, in the country there were very few of us. 1997, 98, I just decided to go and take a job in America as a neurologist. I got employed in the University of Virginia and started working there. As at that time, there were just about 7 neurologists in the whole country.
Nigeria?
Yes, only 7 were practicing, you know, and out of that we had 2 or 3 in private practice, then about 3 or 4 in, and the whole of the North had only 1 neurologist.
Wow.
So that was in 1997, 98. I came back from America in 1998 after working there for some time. As at the time I came back in 1998, the number of neurologists who were qualified and practicing were just about 7 or 8. So that few neurological expertise made it difficult
for people to
know about it. And the fact is that even if you know about it, sometimes you will meet a doctor who does not know the correct treatment, and you will get worse. That will also reinforce the fact that this is not what doctors can treat. So I think that is the issue. But now we are getting many more.
You have trained a lot more people, so to say. Yes. Okay, why do you think you have very few people? Is it that it's an arm of medicine that is so difficult, or people are not interested in it? That's why they won't bother to specialize in that area?
Yeah, I think it's an arm of medicine that is very difficult.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. One of the reasons I came back to Nigeria after a very promising career in America of being a director in a center, living big, earning $30,000 a month and so on. The reason why I threw that behind me and came back to Nigeria was the realization that there were not many neurologists in the country. For example, when my colleagues were pressurizing me, including pressurizing my wife to stop me from coming back. I told them that, look, I have been a member of American Academy of Neurology since 1991, and I know as at the 1998, there were about 17,000 neurologists in America. In Nigeria, there were just 7. So what will I be doing here?
When it's saturated already.
So now, when I came back, I just discovered that in Nigeria, the best way of training specialists is to be able to have your own training system in place, not sending them abroad. Because if you send them abroad, they won't come back. So we have National Postgraduate Medical College, and we have West African Postgraduate Medical College. This train the local expertise in the country. So when I came back in 1998, I discovered that there was no form of training system for neurology in the country. There was no training. Okay. So the first thing I decided to do was to put it in place. So I was at the National Postgraduate Medical College, made me the chairman of a subcommittee on neurology. So having been exposed to both British and an American neurology, I trained at the University of London Institute of Neurology, and then I also went to work in one of the biggest centers in America, University of Virginia. And so I got that exposure to both American neurology and British neurologists. And using both as a hybrid, I crafted a 27-page curriculum to train neurologists in the country. Luckily, I had 1 or 2 or 3 neurologists who came in. We constituted a committee. So we sat down. I told them, this is the 27-page document I have already written out. They looked at it, made suggestions, and also we fine-tuned that document and submitted it to National Postgraduate Medical College. Then it was accepted in 1999, and we started using that document to train neurologists.
So there are so many of you now?
So, well, we are, not that we are too many, but I think we are over 100 now.
Oh, that's from 7 to 100?
Yeah, so that is how we started training neurologists. You know? So, and as more and more people get trained in neurology, more and more people will be aware of the potentials.
Talking about potential, this is the Magnate business, earning a living. That means since you were few then, a lot of money in the pockets, smiling to the bank all the time.
I think that was the question asked to me by my colleague in America.
Thank God.
My colleague in America Academy of Neurology. When I came to one of the meetings, I go to America every year for annual meeting of America Academy. He was saying, you are so few in Nigeria, you must be extremely busy and rich. I said, I do. I don't see many. Because most patients will not come to you.
They are not referred.
They will go. They are not referred. Even the doctors don't even know who to refer or where the neurologist is.
So there's a gap.
The problem is that the doctors needed to even be educated. Because I remember a case. This was a guy working in those days with New Nigerian Bank. He got paralyzed, completely paralyzed in both upper and lower limb. And then they saw a doctor. The doctor told them that, look, this type of disease, doctors cannot treat it. If you know a powerful spiritualist or native doctor, you should take him there so that he can get a healing. Because you are completely paralyzed. That is the end of it. Medicine has no answer. So while they were arranging to take him to somewhere in Ijebu or so for a native doctor, the senior brother, who happened to be working in UK, came back and was employed by Central Bank of Nigeria. So he attended the family meeting where they were taking that decision. He told them that he disagreed with them. They said, why? They said, doctors have said they cannot treat this condition. He said, no. Have you seen a neurologist? He said, what is the difference? A doctor is a doctor. So he said, okay, give me time. I will go and look for. So he had a friend in Faculty of Business Admin who he asked, do you know a neurologist? So he said, oh, I know Professor Danesi. I said, I will take you there. So he came to my house because the guy, I was living in the campus then, in the evening, brought him. So he was telling me this story in their family that he had a boy, a man is paralyzed, and the doctor had told them that there are no solution. They need to see a spiritualist to make him walk. So he knew that a neurologist can treat that condition. So I said, okay.
Was he informed?
It was, I mean, even the doctors were. So I said, bring him to Lutz. So he brought the patient to Lutz. We admitted him to a ward in Lutz, where I was a consultant. He had a spinal cord disease. We diagnosed it and started treating it. He walked home after some time. Went back to work at New Nigeria Bank. Then I met that doctor. So I said, why do you, he said, do you mean that you people can treat this condition now? I said, I said, yes. He said, oh, when I was in medical school, they used to tell me that in neurological condition, it's a dead end, and that one, they can only diagnose, but they will not be able to treat. So that is the issue, that even a lot of doctors may not even be aware of the potentials. I
don't know if that's relevant to also the spinal cord, maybe as a result of accidents. Once that is the end, they say that's the end and it cannot be treated.
Well, the spinal cord accident is also another issue about training, proper training in what you call first aid. For example, if you have a complete spinal cord transection at the neck, and you are able to get that person within the first 3 hours, and then there is a neck stability, you don't damage it more, and bring him to a center within 3 hours, and he's given a very high dose of methylprednisolone, that person will walk.
Wow.
But the usual thing is that
ignorance.
Because of ignorance, a lot of people, even in the process of carrying them to hospital, they damage the thing more. And then usually before they even see a neurosurgeon or a doctor, it would have passed 6 hours. You know, after 3 hours, nothing can be done again. So that is the issue. So it's still possible to get that person with complete spinal cord paralysis to walk
if you
got to the right place at the right time. Because time is brain.
The essence.
We used to say time is brain. Any brain disease must be, there must be an immediate intervention. If you wait for a long time, the brain is irreparably damaged. But if you intervene in time, you can completely reverse the process.
Professor M.A. Danesi, neurologist, physician, and name is a teacher of professors. We are teaching you on Magnate today, mentoring on television. Let's go for this short break. We'll be back to continue with the conversation. You're welcome back to the Magnates, and we are discussing medicine today, all in a bid to be in line with the present pandemic. Whatever we are discussing here, we want to relate it to how the pandemic can be successfully treated or the impacts. For instance, today we are discussing neurology, and then we have an expert in the house in the person of Professor M.A. Danesi, who is almost over 4 decades in the practice of medical practice, but a neurologist, a physician, and name it. You are welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
As much as we see there is a gap in neurological practice, let's look at the general medical care, health delivery in Nigeria. How will you rate it?
Health delivery in Nigeria is in its rudimentary stage.
Rudimentary?
Yes. As I used to tell people, we are still practicing 19th and 20th century medicine in the country. We are now in the 21st century.
Sir, sorry, I remember that with all the experiences you have gathered in America, UK, and all the countries you have, comparatively, is that where you are speaking from?
Well, I'm speaking from world perspective.
No.
Because apart from being a physician and a neurologist, I'm also part of the world. I go on international meetings. I relate with my colleagues from all
A
parts of the
consultant with
world.
World Health Organization.
I work with World Health Organization and so on. So I'm able to relate to what is wrong with our system. So I also teach clinical governance. And when I talk to doctors, I am able to tell them the current 21st century health practice, which we are not still yet able to do in this country. We are still in the 20th century.
What does that leave the citizens with if we are still in the 20th century of health practice?
It's very sad. I think it really has nothing to do with the doctors or professionals than for the system.
Policy?
The policy and the system of health. So at the end of the day, the system we adopt in the country does not attract highly qualified professionals. In Nigeria today, there are more specialists, Nigerians who are specialists, working outside Nigeria than inside. The number of specialists in America who are Nigerians
in
are
America
higher than the specialists in the country. So our system repels experts. So
and we need them all here.
And you need it.
It's not everybody that can be like you. No. Jettisoning the American job to come to Nigeria.
Yes. So unfortunately, our government or our system policymakers do not understand the fact that a doctor is an international employee. Any qualified doctor who is able to pass PLAB or American licensing exam and all the rest can practice anywhere. As we are here today, the British government is sending private jets to collect Nigerian doctors to UK. They need them, so we are losing them. Saudi Arabia comes here to recruit and carry our doctors away and our nurses away.
But what should be in place to be able to, we're talking, even as now we are talking about COVID, a lot of people are complaining about welfare and all that, so they will readily jump at any other attractive thing. What should be in place to be able to retain them?
The problem is mindset.
Okay.
The mindset is our problem. For example, the politicians or the people in power's mindset is such that they are focused on themselves. In Nigeria, it is your influence and power that determines your earning, not necessarily your capacity,
your competence.
But your competence and ability. So the people who carry the political influence and all the rest look upon Nigerian doctors as mere workers, and they should be grateful that they have employment, which is a very stupid way of thinking, because the person you are looking down, they are looking for him in America, they are looking for him in UK, they are looking for him in Saudi Arabia, everywhere. Before you know what is happening, he's gone. The same thing with nurses. Once you have BSc nursing today, the next day you are in UK. We have lost so many nurses to UK and America because we don't treat them well here.
Okay.
We don't value them. In fact, a nation that does not value its experts does not deserve them. That is the situation we have in the country.